Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Cody if you're new here, and today we are doing my 2025 reading wrap up. I know we are in February, well towards the end of February, but we're going to pretend like we're not. We're going to pretend like it's January and we're having a wrap up of all the books I read last year. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I read 34 books in 2025. 11 of those books were romance, 18 books were fantasy, 1 book was dystopian, and 4 books were classics. And basically what we're going to do in today's video is just going to go through all of the ones that I gave 4 stars or above, and basically tell you why I would recommend them and why I think you should read them and why I enjoyed them. So to start off with, we're going to start with Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I gave this book 4 stars, and honestly it still lives rent-free in my brain, so that's how you know it's a good book. And basically you follow Russ and Aurora. This is a standalone, however it is an interconnected series of, I think it's called the Maple Hill series, I could be wrong, but yeah. It follows Russ and Aurora, and they've met in previous books, but this is their story, and they are camp counselors. I think that's an American thing. You know how they have those children camps, you go to camp. They are the people who supervise, and basically it's so cute. I just love this book so much. Russ, I think his name was Callahan. Let me just double check. Yes. Russ Callahan, book boyfriend goals. He was amazing. Without giving spoilers, if you want like an attentive, good listening, golden retriever type book boyfriend, this book will be for you. And it's a bit spicy, but not too much spice like the other 2 books in the series, so that's why this one was my favourite. And it also has like sprayed edges. Stunning. Okay, next, I can't really tell you too much about this book because it's the 3rd in a series. However, I will tell you that I loved it. So, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I gave this book 5 stars. And, okay, we're going to deep dive into this without spoilers. I wasn't actually going to continue this series. I know, I'm sorry, that's probably a major red flag. People probably won't get that. But after reading book 2 in this series, it was a lot of world building, war politics, a load of new characters introduced that really made me confused. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't fully understand book 2, so I wasn't gonna continue it. But then, I'm not gonna lie, Mum bought this as a present, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll read it. Oh my god, am I so glad I did read this book. This book. Okay, I know I'm getting a bit excited, but this book was amazing. I can't tell you too much about it, but dragons, morally grey characters in this one, great friendships, found family, and the ending of this book will leave you staring at the wall for at least 5 minutes and flipping the page constantly. That's what I did. I was crying, flipping the page like, is that it? Do I really have to wait 2 years, possibly more, for the next one? But yes, and I will wait, because this book drew me back into the series. Like, the first book, astounding. I think I gave it 5, 6 stars. The second book I gave, I think, 3 stars. This book bumped the series back up 5 stars. So yeah, highly recommend. If you haven't started Fourth Wing, read it. If you don't like, Iron Storm. If you don't like Iron Storm, that's the second one. Is it Iron Storm? Iron Flame? I'll put it up here what it's called, I can't remember right now. But if you don't like the second one like me, just know that the third one will leave you wanting more. That's all I can say. Next book is The Book of Azriel. I can tell you more about this one because this is the first book in the series, and I gave this one 4 stars. I have a whole book video on this one, me deep diving into it. It's a complete spoiler video, and this is a urban fantasy. You follow Diana and and Semikel. I still don't really know how to say his name. Diana and Semikel. It's really interesting. There's like gods, there's so it's an urban fantasy. There's like, I think there's celestials if I remember rightly, and Diana can shapeshift. I don't know. There's a lot of like powers and magical elements in this book, and I really found the weapon system really interesting. I think it was like, if I remember rightly, you can go back to the video where I deep dived into it, but if I remember rightly, the jewelry they have turns into weapons. I think there was like a group for the god, and they had like jewelry that they could turn into like swords, or rings that they could turn into. I don't know. I found that really interesting, and I would read more of this series. I just haven't bought any yet. There's like, I think 4 or 5 books out now. But this, for an urban fantasy, I found really interesting because it's like a fantasy book but in modern day, but I didn't hate it, which I thought I would, but actually I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for an urban fantasy set in like, obviously urban fantasies like modern day, they have televisions, they have phones, they have powers, they have swords still. I mean, it's really interesting. I would give it a go. I did give it a go, and I want more of these books. So at some point I will be continuing this series. Not yet, because my TBR is never ending, but I would highly recommend. So The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. Okay, next we have one of my favourite books of last year. I gave this one 6 stars. That means it's an infinity read. It means I love it to my core, and I don't think words are going to be able to sum up how I feel about this book, but we are going to try. And when I tell you, this book is my life, okay? Okay, I'm getting a bit excited, but this book is everything to me, and that is Watch Me by Tahereh Mafi. I fell in love with reading again when I read Shatter Me, and when I found out that she was bringing out a new series from that book, honestly, my heart like stopped. I was like, stop it. This can't be real. But it was. So, this book follows James and Rosabelle, and it's basically their story. I mean, if you've read Shatter Me, you'll know who James is. But if you haven't, I don't know how much I can say about James. You need to read Shatter Me to know who James is, but this is his story, so at the same time, would you read? I think you would need to read it, but at the same time maybe not, if you don't want to know who all the other characters coming into the story are, because there are crossovers. There are crossovers, and I'm so happy about it. Oh god, oh my god, Aaron Warner, stop it. Aaron Warner is in this book, and he is having his own POV in the next one that's coming out this April, and I will be buying it. Even if I'm on a book buying ban, that book will be mine. So, let me see, what can I tell you about this book? So basically, James is trying to prove himself, and there's a re-establishment. This is a dystopian book that I read. There's a re-establishment. The world is... there's not much I can say about this unless you've read Shatter Me without spoiling it, I'm not gonna lie. But there's a re-establishment, and they're trying to fix the world, let's say that. And then there are also some bad people. They have powers. There are powers in this book. I can't say anymore. But believe me when I say you need to read Shatter Me, and then you need to read Watch Me. This one's a lot darker than the original series, but I didn't hate it. I loved it. I will be rereading this and then reading the next one in April, like I say. So, 6-star book. I can't explain it. I can't explain it, but it's a 6-star book. The next book is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. Alison Saft. This one actually didn't make the 4, 5, 6-star cut. This actually got 3.5 stars. But I wanted to give it an honorary mention because reading it felt so nostalgic to me. So when I was younger, I obviously read the Tinkerbell series growing up and was obsessed with Tinkerbell. and the Tinkerbell movies and the Tinkerbell franchise and fairies and all of that good stuff. So when I found out they were bringing out a new Tinkerbell book based on Queen Clarion and Mallory, I was in. I was sold. The Secret of the Wings in the Tinkerbell movie franchise was one of my favourite films growing up, so it partially tells a little bit of Queen Clarion and Mallory's story towards the end of that film, and you get a snippet of what their romance could have been, but it's like forbidden, they can't cross the border, their wings will break. So when I found out they were getting a story on how that originated, it has been 10 years or over 10 years since we've had a Tinkerbell movie. I've been deprived of Tinkerbell and fairies and all of that. Like, I know I may be too old for that, but honestly, this was nostalgia in a book. So as I say, 3.5 stars. You follow Queen Clarion before she was queen, meeting Mallory, their love story, and it broke my heart. It is so cute and so sad all at once. And basically they work together to try and save Pixie Hollow, and you find out what happens to them. And I would recommend reading, but this one is a little bit of a heartache and it will hurt your feelings. But also, there's another one of those books coming out following Periwinkle and A Dream Fairy. And I think that's coming out in October, and I will be buying that as well, because anything for a nostalgic read that will make me feel like I'm back reading Tinkerbell books for the first time when I was younger, I will be buying that. I will be buying into that. The next two books were books I found completely by accident, and that is by judging a book by its cover, which you apparently should never do, but tell me you wouldn't buy this, okay? This book is Nettle by Bex Hogan, and then I also bought the next book in the series, Owl King by Bex Hogan, obviously. But tell me you wouldn't buy these, honestly. And I'm glad I did, because I loved these books so much. And nobody talks about them, okay? Nobody. I've seen nobody mention these books. And they're amazing. I will die on that hill. These books are everything, okay? So Nettle I gave 4.5 stars because I was invested. And then the Owl King I gave 4 stars. But together, I would say these are 5-star books. There is another one coming out the series, obviously, again, we'll be buying. And that one's called, I think, Rowan. But basically, I'll describe them one at a time, because they're completely different, but so they could probably be standalone, but the characters weave in to each story, but they are different, if you know what I mean. Hard to describe. Anyway, Nettle is basically, you're following a girl called Nettle who lives on a farm with her grandmother, and her grandmother has always told her folk stories about fairies and about the fae and how you shouldn't trust them and how they're dangerous and how she needs to be careful. And one day Nettle, when she's younger, goes into nettles and doesn't get hurt, and her grandmother's like, that's strange. And that's why they call her Nettle, because nettles don't sting her. But when she's older, I think she has like a bad day, she goes and lies in the nettles and she gets transported into the fairy realm, and she has to do these trials to try and get back to where she came from, try and get back to her grandmother, try and get back to the farm. But oh my god, if I've got these books around me, so if you, because we're going to talk about them later, but if you liked ACOTAR and if you've read this and you liked this, by god are you gonna love this. So it was so transportive. You literally felt like you were in the world Nettle was in, and without giving too much away, there's like beautiful sceneries, there's descriptive writing about the different like stars and moons and how the fairy world differs from our world and how you can't eat their food, and how, honestly, if you like fairies and you like fantasy and you like, I don't know, anything the trials in a book, you need to read this. And I'll read you the blurb because there's a little bit of romance in it that is described in the blurb without me giving any spoilers away, okay? A wild misfit in the human world, Nettle is enthralled by the glamour of the fairy realm. With its 2 moons and scarlet stars, she grows closer to Connor, a human stolen centuries before, and she also falls under the spell of mysterious Elion, a shadow fairy. To try and help her beloved grandmother, who is fading in her world, Nettle makes a pact with the Fairy King. He'll heal her grandmother in exchange for Nettle completing 3 tasks. She agrees, not realizing that deception lurks in the enchanted place and that she is being tricked. And it's a really short read, but God, it's amazing. And there's also illustrations on every chapter. Let me try and find one. Like, at the beginning of every chapter there's an illustration. It's just so whimsical. If you want a whimsical read, read this. Okay. And the Owl King, you follow 2 completely different characters. This one, I loved the ending, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did not see it coming. I won't say what the ending was because spoiler, but I will read you the blurb of this one. It's kind of interconnected, kind of not, but you don't have to read them together. Long ago, monarchs of the fairy realm exchanged talismans to ensure harmony in their world. The Stag King gave a shard of antler, the Minnow Queen a silver scale, the Owl King a feather. Now he has grown restless and his kingdom dangerous as he feeds off the magic of others. Also, he hunts a new bride to sustain him. When he weds her sister, Ilsec conceives a daring plan to prevent Layla's fate. Guarding secrets of her own, she journeys far seeking the way to set Lila free. But an impossible choice faces her to save her sister or risk the peace of all the realm. And oh my god, the illustrations in this book. Let me try and find one because there was one at the very beginning. Okay, well this isn't the one I was talking about, but at the beginning of these chapters, because it's to do with birds, there's like a bird at the beginning of every chapter. And honestly, stunning. So this one's a little bit darker than the first one, but still so good. And like the way these books just transport you into the story, these books need to be raved and shouted about more on Bookstagram and Booktube because they are everything to me. Next we have 2 Christmas books, and I found out this, well, 2025, I found out last year that Christmas books are apparently one of my favourite things to read. I've only read 2 last year, but if it's set around Christmas, I will be reading it because apparently that's one of my favourite things ever. So, we'll start off with The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. This is also by Laurie Gilmore, but we will get into that in a moment. So The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, I gave 4 stars. And basically, all of her books are interconnected, and I would recommend reading them in order. I have not. That is on me. But I think to understand the story more, you should. So basically this one is, I'll read you the blurb. Kira North hates winter, which is unfortunate since she just bought a Christmas tree farm in a town that's too cute for its own good. Bennett Ellis is on vacation in Dream Harbour trying to take a break from both his life and his constant desire to always fix things. But somehow fate finds Ben trapped by a blanket of snow at Kira's farm, and despite her Grinchness first impressions with the glow of the fairy lights twinkling in the trees and the promise of a warm hot chocolate, maybe, just maybe, these 2 lost souls will have a Christmas they'll remember forever. This one's like enemies, not enemies, hate, not enemies but not hate, bad first impression to romance, forced proximity. They basically don't start off like not liking each other, and then forced proximity, and then romance. It's the only way I can describe it. But this is a romance book, and it is amazing, and it's set at Christmas, and it gives you all of those Christmassy vibes like it says. And I would highly recommend it. As I say, 4 stars. And The Gingerbread Bakery was another Christmas read that I did, and I gave this 4 stars. And this one basically is a story that's hinted at throughout the whole of the other books that I have read, and I feel like she probably hinted at it in all of the other ones, because this only came out last year on not on Christmas, but in December, and you basically follow Annie and Mac, and I feel like throughout the whole series you're wanting to know what the drama between Annie and Mac is, and this book does dive into that. I liked it. It was cute. Obviously I gave it 4 stars, but it wasn't like my favourite. But if you're wanting like a cutesy read with like a little bit of second chance romance, and I think that's basically it, just second chance romance, and it's really cutesy and it gives you all the Christmas vibes again, give it a go. And then the last book I gave 4 stars of last year was Reckless. This is the second book by Lauren Roberts in the Powerless series, but it goes Powerless, Powerful, which is a novella, and then Reckless, so you have to read it in that order. I gave this one, obviously like I said, 4 stars. I can't really go too much into it because it is the second book in a series, but most people actually, I heard, didn't like this, and I think I stand alone from them because I loved this. I was a little bit bored of the series after reading the novella, I'm not gonna lie, and then this book got me back in. It's like it was Iconic Storm all over again. Like the second book just drove me back into the story. I was there, and I really can't say too much about it. I was gonna say why it drove me back in, but I can't because it's spoilers. But just know, if you've read Powerless, this book, I think I loved this book more than Powerless in the series. Obviously I've still got the other 2 to read in the series, so I don't know where the story's going, but this book was amazing. Very much enjoyed my time there. We also have some honorary mentions of last year that I read, and these were rereads, but when you get the chance to reread your favourite book, take it, because rereading last year was one of my favourite things to do. I love rereading a book. So I reread 3 of my favourite books of all time. So we will start off with The Summer I Turned Pretty. I devoured the series because these used to be my favourite books, and then when they brought out the series, oh my god, and they're bringing out the movie, oh my god. I can't even begin to describe how much these books meant to me, and then to watch the series and then to hear they're bringing out a movie. Oh my god, I can't. Conrad Beck Fisher. 10 out of 10 book boyfriend, film, portrayal, movie, series betrayal, like they picked the perfect actor for Conrad, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, getting off topic. The Summer I Turned Pretty I gave 5 stars because it will always be one of my favourite books to read in the summer, and that's what I do. I take it to the beach with me, I read it, it's a vibe, and it will always stand up to the vibes that I want from it. And basically, if you haven't read or heard of or watched or even seen the Instagram edits and reels of The Summer I Turned Pretty, so The Summer I Turned Pretty is by Jenny Han, and you basically follow a girl called Isabel Conklin, and she's going through her teenage years, and oh my god, it's more than just that though. It's a love triangle between 2 brothers, but she's like finding herself. It's amazing. I would highly recommend reading it. I won't give any spoilers if you haven't read it, if you haven't watched it, if you haven't heard the news, but please do read it and then watch it and then get excited for the film that's going to be coming out soon. I hope next year, and I hope to god that is everything I'm hoping for, because I am so excited. So excited. I know I'm getting like excited about this book, but when one of your favourite books gets turned into a TV show and then they bring out a film of it, my heart became complete. Okay. Next we have got ACOTAR. I speak about this book so much because it holds a piece of my soul. As simple as that. There is a piece of my soul in all of the ACOTAR books, the ACOTAR series, and this is like a 6-star read. I will talk about these books until the cows come home, and I probably have made every book video that I have include ACOTAR in it. So basically, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, 6 stars, and you are following a girl called Feyre who how do I describe this? It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling, the first book. The rest of them not so much, obviously. But you're following Feyre, who basically goes hunting in the woods, kills something she shouldn't, gets taken away to the fairy realm, and that's where I'll leave you off. But this book, that series, those characters, the found family, the romance, the politics, even the war politics didn't lose me. Like, every part of this book and this series, if you haven't read it, just please do and thank me later, because I kept getting recommended this book and I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, oh, I probably won't. These characters have become soul characters to me, and when I read the books it feels like coming home. And that's what you want in one of your favourite books. You want that feeling of, yeah, I get it, I if I could live here I would. Like, that's what you need from one of your favourite books. And then last but not least, I feel like I've included this in every book video I've done as well, because it is one of my favourite books to read, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and I gave this one 5 stars. This is also like an Infinity Star book for me though. This holds a special place in my heart, and I will reread this book every Christmas, and that is how I also know that I love a book set during Christmas. If there's Christmas in it, I'm romance, and yeah, I'm just there. So basically, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, you follow Simon Snow and Bastilian Pitch, and oh my god, if I want so many more books from these characters. There's only 3 books, and I think about these characters daily. I don't know if that's normal. It probably isn't. Like, I think about these characters all the time. I'm like, will there ever be another book? Like, the series I think is ended, but in my heart there could still be more. There could still be 1,000 more and I would read them. Like, how so I don't even know how to describe this book, but basically you follow Simon Snow, and he is a wizard, and they're basically, you follow Simon Snow and he's a wizard, and they're basically at this wizard school, and his roommate of like 11, 12 years is Baz, and he's a vampire, but you don't really know you do know he's a vampire, but he hasn't come out and said that he's a vampire. But you follow Simon trying to uncover that he's a vampire, trying to like out him that he's a vampire throughout the whole book, and basically there's like some drama that happens, and I can't say much without giving the book away, but it has magic, it has found family, it has romance, it has Christmas, and I just love this book. I don't know what it is about it that has a hold on me, but every Christmas I will read this. It doesn't feel like Christmas unless I'm reading this book, and I've read it for the past 4 years, every December. Just please read it so I can stop having to recommend it to you guys, just please, and then let me know what you think, because I don't see this book enough everywhere as well, and I feel like more people need to get on this book. There's like 3 books, and like I say, I would do anything for another one if there is ever a chance that there's another one and I could get it. I would be there tomorrow. But yeah, that is my last book. So we have gone through all the books I would recommend you guys to read from my 2025 reading wrap up, and hopefully in 2026 we get some good books that I can recommend to you guys too at the end of this year. But yes, we have 3 honorary mentions of rereads, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 books for you guys that I gave 4 stars or above, apart from 1 because it was nostalgic. But I hope you guys found some book recommendations in this video. I hope you guys liked seeing what I gave 4 stars and above, and I will see you guys again soon. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that hype button that's new and hype my video up so it gets to a wider audience. And I'll see you guys again soon with maybe some more book videos or a vlog, but bye for now.